So, my first time hearing this was in a clip sent to me with Jaden Smith saying, public schools are preparing your kids for prison. Now, I laughed, but soon realized that this is a real thing and people actually believe this. Sounds like a job for the last sane human. This is what Jaden Smith said.
Da, 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many correlations between public schools and prisons. The fact that
Mm-hmm.
you have the long hallways, the fact that you have a fixed response to authority, the fact that, oh, there's a specific time when you can go outside and play, and then there's a specific time that you can come back in. And the way that you're notified with that happening is through the bells. They're subconsciously getting you to have a fixed response to authority and understanding what it's going to be like when you are in prison. It's like, no, when you're here, you have to listen to me. I'm in charge. Now I'm going to pass you off to this next person is in charge when you're doing this. And it's like you have these fixed response to authorities and then you know how to react. And it's just like, oh, okay, you went to school. All right, you already know how it's going to go in prison. You got the bells. You got the times where you can go out when you have to come back in. And then you have your authority figures that you have to respond to. You've already been trained for this. For your whole
So, first off, kids don't have recess past elementary school. This is the first problem with what he says. So, they prep you in elementary school for yard time in prison, but 6th through 12th, there's no more prison yard time prep. Also, long hallways, really? Hospitals have long hallways. Hotels have long hallways. Plenty of office buildings have long hallways. Furthermore, Jaden Smith did not attend public school and has not done any time in prison. He says there are too many correlations. One would assume he would lead with his best. And if his best is comparing yard time to recess, let's look and see what yard time in prison looks like compared to what recess looks like. Not the same thing. Also, if long hallways is his best, I'd rather not hear more. So I tried to ignore this, but then someone sent me a picture to bolster their point. When I saw this, it made me laugh because it proves absolutely nothing. I came up with my own picture using a regular Samsung Android and sent it back. Oh no, a city bus looks similar to a prison bus. Are cities preparing us for prison? Oh no, a hospital kitchen looks like a prison kitchen. Are hospitals preparing us for prison? This is all silly. Maybe the correct answer is that there is an efficient way to transport large numbers of people at one time, and that is a bus. How else do we transport kids to and from school? How else do we transport people around the city? How else would you transport large numbers of people to prison? A bus is the most efficient way to get it done. Same with cafeterias. There is an efficient way to feed large numbers of people in one room in a timely manner. School is not preparing kids for prison. School is preparing kids for the real world. Let me explain. In the real world, if you are a productive citizen of society, you work 8 hours or more a day. School is usually 8 or around 8 hours a day. In the real world, most jobs give you at least 2 days off, unless you're working overtime. School gives you 2 days off. There are no days off in prison. In the real world, when you break the law, you go to jail and or prison. In school, you break the rules, the authority he was speaking of, you go to ISS detention or maybe suspension. You break the rules in prison, you just get more time in prison. In the real world, you get a lunch break from your work. In school, you get a lunch break from your schoolwork. In prison, you get a lunch break, but not from prison because it's still prison. It's not really a break from anything, it's just lunch. I can really do this all day. School is more like the real world and not like prison. This fake outrage about issues that aren't issues is killing me. An issue that, if were true, we could do nothing about. It's just a good talking point. For a second, let's pretend the buses being similar means schools are preparing kids for prison. Or cafeterias being similar means schools are preparing kids for prison. How do we solve this issue? And do we completely just do away with school buses? But then how do we transport kids to and from school? Do we change the cafeteria, but then how do we feed all the kids in a timely manner? Do we do away with the long hallways in school? Are you suggesting we find more efficient ways to do these same things that is also cost effective? There's the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Also, comparing administrators at the school to prison guards is hilarious when they are much better compared to babysitters, even police officers in the real world. So, you see my point. The so called problem doesn't have a solution. It's just something for people like Jaden Smith to talk about to show you that he's woke and get people riled up for nothing. These bogus issues always seem to outshine real issues, like so many schools being underfunded. Some schools are doing so bad that the kids are reaching out to the news begging for help. 14 and 16 and 17-year-olds begging for help only to fall on deaf ears. Starting salary for a teacher in Georgia is $34,872. The average salary is $54,602. You can make more money as a McDonald's manager. These same teachers buy supplies for the kids and for their classrooms and still have to live their life with what's left over. They are tasked to teach children with inadequate materials and are spending their own money to do so. And they have people saying that they're preparing your kids for prison. Instead of giving them the tools they need and giving them the pay they deserve, or instead of donating to schools that actually need it, they're being accused of preparing your kids for prison. It's a big problem. We have to stop letting simple stuff like this brainwash us. Don't let their fake outrage become your real outrage.